Axios had this piece, which was interesting because it's true. And I find that noteworthy in and of itself when you see mainstream publications.
Rarity.
But Trump's shadow presidency clouds Biden's final weeks. No question. Let me read a little intro to this. President-elect Donald Trump's bombastic policy threats, Mar-a-Lago missives, and mere presence have become a driving force in markets and capitals around the world 6 weeks before his inauguration. Only one man occupies the White House, but the norm-busting assertiveness of Trump and his transition team and the rapidly fading relevance of President Biden have given the U.S. something of a two-headed presidency. Even as Biden officials have worked feverishly to broker a ceasefire deal between Israel and Lebanon, incoming National Security Advisor Mike Waltz credited Trump with bringing them to the table. No question about it. And then they go on to reference the tweet or the X post that he had about they'll have hell to pay.
Yes.
And he's talking about the hostages that are still unbelievably in Gaza, in the Middle East crisis that continues despite the fact that it's fallen out of the headlines. Let's put that graphic up, if you wouldn't mind. Graphic 1. So that's his tweet, and what he's talking about. Honestly, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm just going to tell you, this is the only thing that families of hostages have wanted since October 7, when this whole thing went down. The only thing that they wanted was the moral clarity out of a leader in the United States to say, like, no, there's not two sides of this deal. You are terrorists. You've taken innocent people from their home. You return them, or you've got a real problem, and I'm going to assure to it.
Yeah, not only did Joe Biden lack that moral clarity in the wake of October 7th, there are a lot of people around this country who are asking, wait a minute, who is actually has their hand on the wheel of the government, right? I mean, for months and months and months, people were wondering, because they don't see Joe Biden, because he's not assertive, who's actually in charge? Donald Trump wins, and everybody's like, oh, okay, daddy's home. We have somebody in charge now, even though he hasn't been sworn in. And this is to your point, Wesley. It's like the guy gets in, we start projecting strength, and the world goes back to normal.
This is the language that these people speak in that region. I am someone that has deployed to Iraq. I spent 2 years in Saudi Arabia. This is not like the Judeo-Christian background and the champagne problems that we have in our country. When I was stationed in Saudi Arabia back in 2010 through 12, they were still doing public beheadings and public behandings in the Middle East. So the idea that they are going to respond to diplomacy, that's not how that works in that region of the world. And a lot of Americans need to understand that. They respond to the strong man. They respond to the person that's going to say, if you do this, I am going to kill you. And then they have to make a decision. Do I want to die? No. So I will let them go. And while that doesn't seem like it's nice and it's sexy, that's how this whole thing works.
Yeah, well, there's that great story that you tell about when Donald Trump was negotiating with the Taliban.
Yes.
Why don't you do it? You do it far better than we could.
So I actually heard this originally from Mike Pompeo a few years ago after it got released and declassified. And there was a meeting with the Taliban leadership, and it was Mike Pompeo, President Trump, a translator, and a few others. And the leadership was sitting across from them. And President Trump looked at him and said, hey, look, I want to have a conditions-based withdrawal. Said, okay. Okay, and everybody nodded, they translated. And he said, but if you harm a single American, I'm going to kill you. And the translator's like, huh? And Trump's like, no, tell him. You tell him what I said. That's what I said. Translated, reached in his pocket, and then pulled out a photo of the Taliban leader's home and handed it to him. And the leader said, well, what is this? He goes, you figure it out.
That's some gangster
And the meeting was over. For the next 18 months, not a single American died. And that is the mantra of a President Trump. He just wants people to stop dying. One of my favorite clips of him was during a scene in Town Hall, and asked him, what side are you on? Are you on the side of the Ukraine, or are you on the side of the Russians? He said, I'm on the side of people not dying. And people don't die when America is strong. You don't have to worry about us sending our sons and daughters abroad when America is strong. You don't have to put boots on the ground when America is strong.
And when you don't have to prove it, it's assumed.
Exactly, it's assumed.
Yeah.
Like you do not want a Moab dropped on your head.
Yep. No, it's 100% true. He's gotten that from day one. I mean, look, his 4 years are a testament to that.
It's not a theory.
Right.
We've
Yes,
already
we've
seen
already
it happen
seen this.
before.
Right.
Very soon.
You had for the first time probably in living memory for most of the folks listening to the show, absolute calm in the Middle East. Iran was bankrupted.
Yes.
You know, any terrorist knew, well, if I poke my head out, I'm good as dead. Because
Yeah.
Trump follows through on it. And he doesn't need to put boots on the ground. He puts a bomb on their head.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, or in the case of al-Baghdadi, you use a dog and a robot and you blow out a wall.
Usually you go to the front door. You didn't go to the front door.
Crying like a baby.
Remember the picture of the
Don't
dog?
cry.
Remember that when he put up the picture of the dog? It was the greatest thing. On
Hero
the
dog.
Hero dog. That's right. We did a whole segment on that.